Welcome to Wine Wanderings. Today I'm here with Michael Dorf, who's the founder and CEO of City Winery, anchored in New York City with venues in 9 other cities. I believe it's 9, including Nashville, Atlanta, and Chicago. I was introduced to City Winery concepts watching Sunday Today with Willie Geist, and where they host several celebrity interviews, including most recently with Chef Ina Garten. Well, welcome, Michael.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I'm happy to have you. Tell our subscribers a little bit briefly about City Winery and its concept.
Well, we started 18 years ago. I come out of the music industry, so had always done live music for my career for about 40 years. And there's an old axiom in live music or any live entertainment, excuse me, the profits are in the popcorn, meaning whether you go to a stadium or you go to a concert, you're the real profits, the real way to pay the bills for a venue is the sale of the food and beverage. A lot of times in the entertainment world, it was beer. Simultaneously, I had a real hankering about 20 years ago to get into winemaking, and really mashed up the idea of urban winemaking and live event production. And that was the birth of City Winery in New York City in 2008. Of course, my timing was impeccably terrible in that our
Yes.
first grapes arrived, the harvest, which was the fall of '08, at the same exact week that Lehman Brothers declared bankruptcy, and there was the beginning of the financial crisis. So not an easy time to launch a creative concept in Manhattan, where we were hoping to sell barrels to bankers, and it didn't work out that way. But luckily, people love wine. We make really, really uh, high-end wine for a very good value delivered to people who are coming to City Winery, and the concept took off. And within a couple of years, I had opened a facility in Chicago, and then Nashville, and then Atlanta, and then Boston, and Philadelphia, and Pittsburgh, and St. Louis. And in 2020, we opened our first non-city location, Open City Winery in the Hudson Valley, New York, which became our main production hub now, on a 22-acre, 100,000 square foot, beautiful old knitting factory, actually. And we continue to grow and combine live entertainment, music, and comedy with winemaking and culinary. We do a lot of private events, and it was really a thrill to work with NBC, Comcast on the Willie Geist program.
Well, I really appreciate your being with us today, and I look forward to questioning you about some other aspects of City Winery.
Bring
So
it
thank
on. Let's
you.
go. Ask away.
So I guess the next thing that I really wanted to talk to you about, all of my subscribers mostly are into wine and travel,
Hmm.
and one of the things that was interesting to me as I researched City Winery was the fact that you are using some very well-known growers, and your AVAs are interesting, the appellations that you draw from. So tell me a little bit about how you went about selecting those and choosing what you thought your guests would like.
Sure. Well, that goes to the heart of probably the most important component of wine and travel, which I share the love of, is really the French word terroir. Um, Place and where something is grown and what is grown there is critical in wine. It's why in Burgundy, two grapes that are really grown are Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, and you don't grow Cabernet like you would in Bordeaux. In fact, after 1,000 years of monks and others making wine, they learned what was the appropriate place for a particular grape. So one of the advantages of being an urban winery and being in New York City, where our terroir is not really great and conducive for growing world-class grapes, although there are some grapes going on rooftops in Brooklyn, it's really not known, for its wine making and wine growing. So the advantage there is we get to go to where in the United States when we started, we got to go to where the terroir was best for particular grapes. So in California, of course, Napa is known for its Cabernets, more Bordeaux blends, Merlot. Um, and the coast of Sonoma coast is known for Chardonnay or Pinot Noir. Syrah comes from either like Mendocino or central coast of California, but also really great Syrah is being grown in the Walla Walla range of Washington. Riesling doesn't do very well in California, but it does really well in Michigan and in upper New York, the Finger Lakes. So we have about 35 different vineyards that we have contracts with, and we focus on what is the grape that grows best in their terroir. And we couldn't do that if we just had a winery, say in the Hudson Valley or even in Napa. You'd be really limited to what the terroir is for your backyard. So not being tethered to one bit of property is a real advantage when you think about, what we do. And that's exactly what we've had the privilege to be able to do is go to some of the great growers. And in 18 years, we've established a lot of relationships with fantastic growers. And now even today, we're making our rosé in Provence, France. We're getting Cava, we are producing it in northern Spain because we're able to really go to now the sources, and we've expanded beyond the United States to go to where terroir is most conducive for the product that we're trying to deliver to our customers.
Yeah, and Penedus is a wonderful region. I've interviewed Miguel Torres out there, and so it's a wonderful region. What a good idea to do that. So, you're also pretty well known for some of your philanthropic endeavors at City Winery. Can you tell us maybe what you're most proud of?
Oh, wow. I'm proud of a lot of things and, wish we had time and resources to do a lot more. Um, you know, I- there's a Hebrew expression called tikkun olam, which is repair the world. And uh, we are very much a citizen of the world, and it needs a lot of repair, whether it's environmentally, whether it's um, just with all of the plagues that are happening medically. There's always people in need, whether it's the floods in Nashville, fires in California, tsunamis in, Asia, hurricanes, obviously, we're about to hit hurricane season again. Like, it's only getting worse and the needs are there. And when you have all these topical needs, which are happening every day, at the same time, programs like music education get cut from public funding or from extracurricular funding because there isn't enough extra philanthropy to go around. And it's unfortunate. So we do a concert series in New York, Carnegie Hall every year for music education. We're constantly, supporting organizations by using our space and trying to be as corporate a citizen as we can be. I think I'm most proud in terms of city wineries environmental pushing. We allow no plastic in our facilities, but our tap wine program is very, very special. We of all the wine we produce, and we're making a lot of wine, we're selling about 3 to 4 million glasses this year of wine to our customers. 90% of the wine that we're selling never goes into a bottle. And when you think about the path of a glass bottle and the waste that's involved, there's the old Jack Johnson song, it's better to reuse and recycle. but think about the path of glass. So first of all, in the United States, only about 30% of bottles, plastic or glass, get recycled. So that means 70% are going into landfills or the ocean. But those that are getting recycled, let's think about that bottle of wine. I'm sure no one's talked to you about this on your travel wine program, but that bottle travels empty for the most part from Mexico, which is where most glass for North American wineries comes from. It goes from Mexico to California as an empty bottle, tons of them. You fill it, assuming with some good wine, with 5 glasses. You then take that heavy filled bottle, put it into a case, put it on a truck, train, use a lot of fossil fuels, ship it to New York, where we open it. We pour 5 glasses of wine into glasses and serve them to customers. Take that empty glass, assume it's being recycled, which again is under 30%. Ship it back to Mexico, empty. It gets burned and melted into another bottle, more or less the same shape, but if it's a different producer, maybe a little different, bit to it. Shipped empty to California, filled with 5 glasses of wine, shipped really heavy across the United States. Like the path to get it into a consumer's bloodstream has gone through a tremendous amount of energy to make that happen. It's actually a real travesty. So the tap wine industry is very small. Part of it has been constricted by the tied house laws and the 3-tier system in the U.S., which does not really allow for efficiency in distribution. But it's very challenging. So in our particular case, since most of the wine that we make is being consumed by our patrons on site, because we're doing concerts and events, we have the opportunity to really go from the barrel after it's been aged properly, or from a stainless steel tank after it's ready, and move it right into smaller steel kegs, just like beer, and it's on tap. And so it's a great preservation system, and it basically eliminates the need for bottles and all that waste. And so if I'm proud of one thing, I'm very proud of that particular element for the wine industry.
Well, as you should be. I mean, the costs and logistics and environmental impact of all of that is tremendous. So future growth plans.
We'll see where the world takes us. I need some capital. We are looking and trying to find a good partner who sees our growth. I've identified about 40 new locations in the United States that could support a city winery.
Hopefully one near me.
Yes. Texas is on the list, although your laws in Texas are not super conducive for how we operate, but hopefully things can be figured out. But around the United States, North America, there's a lot of locations that could work for City Winery. We've had a lot of interest overseas as well. So, I'm hoping to keep growing this thing. I think it could become a very well-established and profitable brand.
Well, I think it's a great concept, much different than what I've seen elsewhere. And by the way, Michael, thanks for being on Wine Wanderings and being a subscriber now. Thank you.
Well, I'm a Substack writer myself, and I love the format. So when I was sent the link for the interview and I saw you were on Substack, I didn't hesitate to click.
Yeah, well, I got started by Heather Cox Richardson's newsletter, and she's certainly been very successful in her endeavors in politics. Yeah. Anyway, thank you for joining me.
My pleasure. Thank you, Tricia. Bye-bye.
Bye.